Hi everybody, we're social distancing today. Welcome to the show. I've got Sheikhs Rampedi and Oliver Keohane, Money Boy, and Sheikh Rattle and Roll, and me, Kevin Ferguson. How are you guys?
I'm strong.
Well,
How are you guys?
yeah, well, I'm good, and seeing Kevin again after such a long time is always a pleasure, and Oliver, always a pleasure seeing him as well.
I just got back from Zanzibar, Sheikhs, and I met someone from Eastern Europe, and no, it wasn't a woman or a dancer. It was a business colleague, and we met halfway. He flew down and I flew up, and I ended up in hospital for 3 days. So sorry I couldn't do any videos, but I'm glad I survived that ordeal and lived to tell the tale. And for those that are expecting payouts on the funds, all the funds have been paid out. And you haven't been paid out, it's probably because you haven't given us the exact right details, whether you haven't given us the branch code or which current account, is it a savings account or anything like that. But Kuvi will get in touch with you because there was a handful of people that was problematic. But everybody else has been paid. And I've left a few select people in the new fund that's going, and I think it's at 4 or 5% already. So it's been a good week, and let's see if we can continue to grow it with the Champions League. What do we make of? What do we make of? Sorry, Sheikhs. You know I like to talk a lot.
Yeah.
What do you make of last night's results?
Yeah, so I decided, so obviously both games were starting at the same time, Liverpool with Real Madrid and Man City with Dortmund. So I I probably have a fair good knowledge on what Real Madrid and Liverpool are playing like. I was really keen to see how Man City and Dortmund would go. I was expecting goals to happen in this game. I was actually expecting more goals than what happened, but I think City will be upset at the result that came out last night. I think they created a lot of chances. They had ball possession as well, a lot of the ball possession. And Dortmund getting that away goal is something that really wakes the tie up all over again. It took me back to when City played against Lyon and City played against Monaco and City played against Spurs, and they were knocked out eventually. And it could also be because I think maybe Pep Guardiola might have overthought it again in terms of not starting with a striker, which two fit strikers were available, Aguero and Jesus, and he left Sterling on the bench the whole game, by the way, so which was something that surprised me. So this tie is not over yet. Dortmund, on the other hand, they played really well. They defended really. They had to defend. They couldn't play possession against Man City, but that was the game I was watching.
Yeah, I didn't. Sorry, I'll go ahead.
No, I thought Dortmund were pretty unlucky. I mean, they got that one away goal, but that first goal from Jude Bellingham should have. I mean, he was fouled more than Edison was fouled. So I thought Dortmund unlucky to not come away with two goals, and potentially a sort of 1-0 aggregate. So I think City can, while they may not be happy with not capitalizing on the chances they created, I think they can be pretty happy that they still came away with the win, because that really was a shocking call, I think.
Yeah, I didn't watch the game, but I was surprised by the result of a 2-1. I thought that City would win by at least two goals or more, and thank God I wasn't betting last night, because that would have been my bet. That would have been my advice. I think going away, Man City still are going to be playing possession football, and should be strong favourites to go through to the next round. But like you say, Shakes, it's in a precarious and set up very well for the next game, and it's not a comfortable lead, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, I certainly agree. And Oliver's right in terms of, I actually forgot about that penalty, or not penalty incident, but that incident where sort of Jude Bellingham scored the goal and eventually they pulled it back because they said he fouled the goalkeeper. And look, I mean, at least in this situation, it forces Dortmund to come out from the get-go when they go back to Germany. And obviously City can pick out those holes for sure, but I definitely do see Dortmund scoring, and I see City scoring as well. I see more goals in the second leg.
Yeah, I'll be watching the Liverpool game again as I watched last night. So I think City will go through in the next round. But let's chat about Liverpool, which to me was, I think there was so much expectation after Liverpool putting away Arsenal 3-0 on the weekend that they flattered to deceive again, and they just look. Last year, where they were pressing well, they had moments in the game where they pressed well and took back possession off these long clearances up the field, which is what the press is supposed to do. But they gave away possession so easily, again, after getting the ball, that they didn't do anything with the ball in attack. And they looked devoid of clues for the entire first half.
And I ran for a bit on them. I missed 10 minutes of that game for a shower, and in that 10 minutes it went from 0-0 to 2-0.
Well, for those that think that 10 minutes in the shower is too long for Ollie, you haven't been around Ollie, so 10 minutes is not nearly enough.
I think they came out very strong in the second half, scored that goal. You can imagine what that sort of change room environment was like at halftime. But Liverpool are going to look back on this first leg and think like, we threw that game away in 10 minutes before the end of the first half. I mean, that first goal was brilliant ball, but that's the kind of goal that gets scored against you in like a Sunday league. It doesn't get scored against you if you're a professional footballing team, for it to literally get lobbed from the centre back.
I'm glad to see you haven't become cynical while I was away, Al.
But yeah, I mean, it was just, and then
I think the second goal is more of a Sunday league sort of goal than the first goal. I think the first goal, to me, I have to disagree with you and say it was just a beautiful pass, well controlled and well finished. The second goal, the defensive miscue header to the attacker who put it in the net, was a beautiful Sunday league goal.
Yeah, fair enough. I think I'm just looking more at the center backs and the quality of just like just positionally, like awareness wise, how he could let that happen. He should have been 3 meters sort of behind in front of that striker. So yeah, I mean, frustrating. And then they pulled it back 1-2, aggregate 1-1. And then that third goal was just a shambles as well. Poor defense, poor goalkeeping. And you just think like, although Real Madrid were the better team for most of the match, those 3 goals easily could not have happened too, which I think is the most frustrating thing, as a Liverpool supporter too, is just thinking that there was pretty much 3 decisive moments in that game that were just very poor from Liverpool that decided the final result. But that game could have come out as like a 0-0.
Yeah, you probably should have came out as a 1-1. Like you say, I think two. These things do happen in games, but from a Liverpool point of view, I think you just have to accept the fact that you don't have the quality and depth of the squad that you need to compete this year, and compete. Sorry, Shakes.
Go, Kevin.
No, my thing is that the games have come thick and fast. If you ever needed a squad depth, this is the year that you needed to have it. And Liverpool have been incredibly unlucky with their injuries. And yes, other teams have as well. But I don't know to the exact man games lost that Liverpool have. They've had a horrendous season. They've lost key players and have had to have people playing out of different positions trying to do the same things that they did so well last year. And they just can't do it.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, Kevin, I definitely agree with regards to the fact that what we know Liverpool to be in terms of pressing and stuff. And I was actually surprised people spoke highly of Liverpool against Arsenal because, yes, did they boss the game? Most definitely. Yes, were they much better than Arsenal? Most definitely. But a lot of it for me felt like it had to do with Arsenal allowing them to do that. So I didn't watch that game thinking, after the 3-0, I didn't think, wow, Liverpool are back. I thought, why didn't Arsenal go for it? And I think the Real Madrid game kind of showed it because Real Madrid did not sit back like Arsenal did not adopt the tactics that Arsenal did. And it also reminded you that the quality at the back for Liverpool is just not good enough. I mean, some of the positioning, like Oliver was saying, and where the centre-backs were supposed to be, I think even Trent as well, was a little bit exposed. And he was the big highlight because people were talking about why wasn't he called up for England? And it's due to perhaps his defensive ability as well. I must also highlight a great frustration for me with regards to Liverpool is I feel like there's some players that are hiding, and I feel like there's some players that are not getting the criticism that they deserve. I think Sadio Mane has been poor. I think Firmino has been poor, and they're not getting enough criticism in terms of having to step up. They're coasting with average performances game after game. Gini Wijnaldum as well should have pressed even more. Klopp, perhaps he has to take fault at the fact that he started Naby Keita instead of Thiago. I don't understand why he definitely did that. But I think there's a lot of players at Liverpool that I just think they are hiding and they are not getting the criticism that they deserve. But the top goal scorer at Liverpool is the selfish one for whatever reason. But he's bailing them out and almost, I don't know, game after game, I guess. So he's scoring goals for them.
Look, you can't question Salah's commitment and ability, and you know it's troubling to. I've heard rumors of him wanting to go to Real Madrid and play there. I'm not sure if that'll ever happen, but you know what's it's Klopp knows one way to play, and he's trying to get people that can't play that way to play that way, and that it's obvious. And at some stage, you got to sell that. You know, I don't believe. You know, it's Liverpool, so there's a lot of magic, there's a lot of nostalgia, there's a lot of romance. But 3-1 to a Real Madrid team that cut them to pieces, that from a speed point of view that they can't handle, and they didn't have Ramos, who to me is the heart and soul of Real Madrid. They didn't have that. So, I mean, if they have Ramos next week at Anfield, it's going to be a long night for Liverpool, and I don't see any way back for them, to be honest.
Yeah,
no fans as well.
No. Sorry, Kevin. The point you made about, Shakes, I think you said about the selfish one sort of bailing them out week in, week out. It's like he's going to come on a lot of criticisms for being selfish, but like you said, when you've got so they were supposedly a front three. I mean, they were a front three that function cohesively as a unit, like Firmino, Salah, Mane. But when your two players aren't functioning, you know, how do you then you don't function as a unit, you function as an individual, which is what he's been doing, and he's been doing it well, you know. So I think him coming under criticism for being selfish is also like, you know, look at who he's playing around at the moment, and the guys that were previously scoring off the opportunities he created, and he was scoring off the opportunities they created. That's not happening anymore. So
look, there was I tend to, being the age that I am, you know, I've lived up through highs and lows and seen the highs and lows of seasons. So I don't get as caught up in that criticism. I mean, anybody that says that he's selfish is just an idiot. I mean, the guy's a class player, class athlete. And last year, him and Klopp, I think that most people thought that Klopp was the second coming of Jesus Christ. He could do no wrong. He could. I mean, he won. He didn't lose a game till the last, you know, the second half of the season. Did things that were never done before. What can you say? He won it. This year, he's had a lot of injuries, and he's got people playing out of position. It's that simple. Let's not overcomplicate it. Let's not overanalyze it. It's that simple. They didn't spend the money that Chelsea spent. And they'll probably finish still ahead of Chelsea. So to me, it's when people start criticizing and calling people the selfish one, when you feel that you have to do more in a team, you tend to do things that you don't normally do. And if the other two, like Ollie said, if the front three were playing in unison and harmony the way they were last year, he'd be laying the ball off and he would be passing the ball more and doing the things that he did last year, but he's not able to do it this year. And I think he feels the weight to try and carry Liverpool, and bloody hell, he has. So to fans, everybody's entitled to their opinion, but like assholes, everyone has one. And we're hearing a lot of assholes with opinions, I think.